Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are watching The Right to the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards, fire up your fingers, and come join the conversation.
You know, with technical difficulties being sort of the unofficial motto around here, it should come as no surprise that I played the wrong intro. I played the main intro instead of the single shot intro. This is not, in fact, Friday night, and this is not, in fact, a full-blown version of The Right of the People. This is yet another, twice in the same week, Right of the People single shot. Despite what YouTube said earlier that it was going to be in 30 minutes hours ago, was indeed scheduled for 6 p.m. Eastern today. So no, this is not a figment of your imagination. This is the real deal right now. I'd like to thank my my wonderful guests for joining in. As usual, we have the irascible yet lovable Squibload. How you doing, sir?
Hello, all you happy people.
And back with us again, the Virginia Director for Gun Owners of America, John Crump. How you doing, sir? Thanks for coming by.
Fan-freaking-tastic.
And once again, we have the Kingpin himself, David Bowling. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Good evening, buddy.
Hey, thank you for stopping by. And I don't recognize the mystery S person there. Is that possibly Jason Spoon?
Nope.
Nope. Stealth Hunter.
There you go.
How you
Right
doing,
there.
sir? Glad you can make it.
Thank you.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Glad to see you. Well, everybody out there in the chat, thank you very much for coming by. Some of you twice, because you were already here at the aforementioned YouTube kerfluffle of sending out my premature notifications. But then again, at least they're sending them out, right? We got Calaveras 32 Special out there, Coffee and Guns and Ammo Astronomy. Welcome, welcome. Jason Stewart, Midnight Range, Gun Loving Grandpa, Stealth Hunters pulling double duty, Seven Wonders, Kingpin's double duty as well, Rich White. And Rich, I am absolutely not intending to quark you tonight. I'm going to be done by 7. 2 live moves out there, New York Outcast. If you're out there watching and I haven't mentioned your name, sound off in the chat so I can say hello. Virginia seems to be the gift that keeps on giving right now as far as people in the Second Amendment related creator space. Where right now we have a whole lot to talk about with regard to Virginia. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. Up for consideration today. The other day we talked about...
Does anybody else having audio issues with budget?
No.
Nope, it's just you.
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear, budget.
Well, I would be... Oh, sorry, Rich White. Yeah, it's Rick's life as I see it. My bad. Well, I won't be quarking him. Anyhow, the other day we talked about the Virginia Democrats' desire to ban any shooting range that is not owned by the state. Well, they've gone even one step further into full-blown jackboot. This is another piece from Law Enforcement Today. Virginia is now trying to pass ammunition-free zones as politicians double down on anti-gun policies. This is by Leah Anaya from January 7, 2020. Just in case Virginia lawmakers haven't been making themselves clear lately, they really don't want their citizens to have guns. Their proposed gun legislations, their threats against sanctuary cities. They've proposed to shut down all non-government ran gun ranges. And now they've introduced new legislation for the session of the General Assembly, HB 318. This bill, introduced by Democratic Delegate Kay Corey, is, if it's possible, even more ridiculous than the original attacks on the Second Amendment rights of Virginians. If passed, there would not only be gun-free zones, but also ammunition-free zones. What does that look like? Let me tell you. Currently, Virginia's law prohibits firearms on the property of any public, private, or religious elementary, middle, or high school, including buildings and grounds. This is known as a gun-free zone. An ammunition-free zone is just like it sounds, the banning of ammunition at the same places as listed above. A violation of the law, if it passes, will be a Class 1 misdemeanor, punishable by a fine of up to $2,500 and up to a year imprisonment. The significance of this bill and why it's such a blatant attack on gun owners, or I should say, another blatant attack, is because the grounds mentioned above include while the person is in their vehicle. Many gun owners keep ammunition in their vehicles, either for trips to the range, for hunting, or to have additional rounds for their personal protection. But if this bill passed, a person who has driven their vehicle to an ammunition-free zone before or after hunting or shooting, or even just while legally concealed carrying, would need to remove every piece of ammunition from their vehicle before parking and leaving the vehicle on school property, according to the NRA. An ammunition-free zone law would be so easy to violate on accidental terms. A few years ago, I was taking a trip via airplane. I put my gun in a lockbox and checked it with the TSA like I'm supposed to, and proceeded to security. They stopped me and said they needed to search my purse. I was shocked and a little embarrassed when they pulled out a speed loader complete with 5 bullets. I carried a small revolver at the time. After about an hour with the, friendly TSA agents at my local airport, I was sure I was going to miss my flight and maybe be fined or even jailed. Luckily, a TSA supervisor who possessed some common sense came to talk to me. I explained that I was a cop and that off-duty I carried a firearm and speed loader in my purse in a hidden compartment. Taking out the speed loader simply slipped my mind. My point is this: intention. I wasn't intending to show up at the airport and start mass chaos by throwing my 5 bullets at the crowd of people as hard as I could. Just like a hunter picking up his kid from school doesn't intend to misuse the leftover ammunition he has in his car. Current Virginia allows for an exemption for a person who possesses an unloaded firearm that is in a closed container or a knife having a metal blade in or upon a motor vehicle, or an unloaded shotgun or rifle in a firearms rack in or upon a motor vehicle. Unfortunately, as it's written, HB 318 does not include an exemption. What they're basically saying is, sure, go ahead, own a gun. Just don't ever shoot it. Don't train with it. Don't protect yourself with it. Don't ever have a bullet on your person or in your car in ammunition-free zones, or you'll be put in jail and slapped with a hefty fine. I can't say it any better than the NRA did when it said, bills like HB 318 are about attacking gun owners and discouraging the exercise of Second Amendment rights by placing senseless restrictions on harmless conduct. This legislation is aimed at harassing law-abiding gun owners, not at keeping people safe. Good guys with guns don't intend any harm by carrying firearms or ammunition. Democrats with gun policies, however, their intentions of harm are perfectly transparent. On Monday, we reported how Virginia just went full-blown communist. If it wasn't bad enough watching the action unfold surrounding unconstitutional gun laws and the militias being formed to fight against them, now it seems like Virginia is trying to pull yet another move threatening the rights of law-abiding gun owners. They want to shut down every gun range in the state that isn't owned by the government. And then it goes into talking about that bill, which we already discussed a couple days ago. So here we have yet another seemingly foolish and just way out there attempt. But, is it really foolish and way out there? Do they expect this to fail? Are they just throwing it against the wall to hope it sticks? I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
I think it's another step in the chain for sure. Because if they can successfully push across no ammo zones, I'd say that they're going to go for the Dulles Expo Center next and cancel all the gun shows that are there. And little known fact, I don't know if it's where the gun shows are held at, but Walmart owns like the north building or the south building. One of the sections of the Dulles Expo Center is owned by Walmart now.
Uh-oh.
So if they can get ammo-free zones through, kiss your gun shows goodbye.
The ammo-free zones, I don't think they have any intention of it actually passing. What they are trying to do is throw everything against the wall and see where it sticks is one thing. But another thing what they're doing is they're throwing out all these bills. Some bills they know are not going to pass, like the shutting down firearm ranges and the ammo-free zones, to basically tie up and try to like exhaust us so they can pass other things why we are fighting against this. Well, we got to keep our focus on the bills that are actually a threat, which is the so-called assault firearms ban, the magazine limitations, the red flag laws, universal background checks. Those are the ones that we have to really worry about. The ammo-free zones is just a distraction. They're trying to distract us, so we don't talk about the other things. So we got to keep focus on what's really important and what they don't want us to focus on.
I don't like when people say it won't happen here or don't worry about it from the standpoint of that promotes complacency. On the other hand, I also don't like it when people scream the sky is falling when they haven't taken the time to read the legislation, or they don't understand the history of it, or it's a tactic just to get more subscriptions or have more people fill your coffers. I try to be kind of moderate with that. We shouldn't be complacent, but we shouldn't panic either. It's a real fine line to kind of walk. The thing is, this already exists. In Michigan, if I don't have a concealed pistol license, I have to transport my firearms according to FOPA. More or less the state law is the same as the Firearms Owner Protection Act, meaning the ammunition and the firearms have to be physically separated. For me, that means the ammunition is in the bed of my truck in a box, and the firearms are cased in the back seat of my truck when I'm driving to and from the range. Well, at the range, I pick up brass because I'm a reloader, and they let you pick up as much as you want. And from time to time, there's unfired rounds in with the brass. And sometimes I just throw it in my pocket and forget about it. Now, technically speaking, driving home, I've got ammunition in my pocket, and my firearm is in a case behind me. And you could say I'm violating the law. It's really up to the officer's discretion. The thing is, if the cop pulls me over because I got a burned out taillight or I was speeding, I don't have anything on my record. There's no reason for this cop to pull me out of my vehicle and search me. I will probably, if I get pulled over, I will probably not get pulled out of my vehicle because I'm not somebody who they're looking for. But even if they did, unless the cop wants to be an absolute total jerk and he finds that I've got a 7.62 by 39 round in my pocket, but I brought a 44 Magnum to the range that day. I mean, if he wanted to, he could go, yeah, technically speaking, blah, 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 blah. But I have to admit, I have actually come home and emptied my pocket and oh, crap, it happens. This is already in place. I'm sure other states have similar laws. If you don't have a concealed carry permit, you can't have the gun and the ammunition in your vehicle in a place where you can get to it or they can be together.
Yep, Ohio's one of them.
So this is, I don't know what Virginia, requires as far as transportation of the firearm. If they are like Michigan, where they say just follow FOPA and you're good, or whatever it is, unless you have a concealed carry permit, blah 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 blah. The whole point being is, with this, these sorts of things do happen. There are slip ups. There are little, and a lot of times it's kind of obvious. Like the story you were telling about, the TSA manager having to come in there and throw some common sense into it. What can she do with a speed loader with ammunition if she doesn't have the gun? What can I do with a caliber in my pocket and I've only got one round that I don't even have on me? And so with this state having all these counties saying that they are not going to honor any anti-gun laws where they got to do confiscation or something like that, I would imagine they would probably also ignore this. So I don't think the citizens of Virginia should stay complacent the way they've been, but I also don't think they should panic over this one because there's probably already something similar in place.
Okay. Basically, what you guys are talking about, I put two links in the YouTube comments over there. The first one is about a guy who was charged because he had a single shotgun shell in D.C. Yep, and the second link is about a guy that was charged and convicted for having a replica round.
A replica?
Yes.
It was inert?
Yes.
Wow. Forget common sense there, man. That's crazy. Where was that at?
DC.
DC. Well, that doesn't surprise me.
That's DC. That's not even relevant to the story. Virginia, I understand Virginia, DC, Maryland, they're all together. And as far as, people work in DC and they live in it. But if you're representing Virginia and you're talking about this law in Virginia, DC, that's really not a good analogy. DC is one of those places where they have these ridiculous strict. That'd be like comparing it to New York or California.
Well, there are a lot of people
I'm not
from
comparing
Virginia
it.
who go into
I'm not comparing it to DC. What I'm saying is how easy it is, how easy it would be to violate one of these laws. So I put two examples of people who violated the law on accident.
Yeah. But if you're living in a state where most of the counties are saying, and this is something that somebody needs to correct out there. You're not 2A sanctuary counties because nobody's violating the Second Amendment. They're violating, Article 1, Section 13 of the Virginia State Constitution?
Yeah, Article 1, Section 13 is
now,
the Virginia State Constitution dealing with firearms.
Yes, and that's what they're violating because these are state representatives and this is a state law. This isn't the federal government coming in there and kicking in doors or threatening to kick in doors. But then again, to say that we're a Section 1, Article 13, or Article 1, Section 13 sanctuary county is kind of a long thing. But calling it a Second Amendment county is actually an inaccurate description. But if most of these counties have law enforcement that say we're not going to comply with these BS laws, and I would think that they wouldn't comply with a situation where in Washington, D.C., if you've got a T-shirt with a picture of a cartridge on it, you're probably getting locked up. So I think that part of the whole sanctuary movement in the state is probably going to be the state's best defense if any of this stuff sticks. They are throwing it at the wall. They are going to try to see what sticks, but it's probably going to be the best. But it really shouldn't be the strategy. Well, if that's the strategy, then, oh boy.
I think that, and that you're kind of giving me the segue I'm looking for here. Because speaking of the Second Amendment sanctuaries, I think that there is a positive, there are a couple positive things coming out of the election results in Virginia and the subsequent chaos that's happening as far as, hey, we're going to impose all these draconian gun bills and nobody can stop us because we have both houses of the legislature and the governor's seat. So tough. And then the citizens of Virginia going, oh yeah, hold my beer. Watch what we're going to do. I think that there are two beautiful things coming out of this. Number one, it's a wake up to the voters, to make sure that the voters, not just in Virginia, but nationwide, because obviously we're all paying attention to this. Not only in Virginia, but nationwide, voters are realizing that it's important to get out there and let your voice be heard and vote in these elections. Don't be apathetic and sit at home. That's number one. It's a great wake up for that. Number two is the sanctuary county, sanctuary city, whatever movement being stolen from the liberals with regard to immigration and whatnot, and being applied to actual constitutional rights, i.e. the Second Amendment. That's spreading all across the country. I mean, it was already going before Virginia, but Virginia really has brought it into the spotlight. It's even getting traction here in Ohio. The county I work in, Stark County in Ohio, there's a petition now to make it a Second Amendment sanctuary. A couple of the neighboring counties to Stark County, Carroll County, in which I live, and Columbiana County, in which I was raised, they both have petitions being circulated now for Second Amendment sanctuary status because of our rhino governor DeWine's insistence on attempting to impose gun control on us. So I think it's a good thing. John, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, before November, there were 250 sanctuary localities in the United States. Since November, Virginia has added like 133 new ones.
Wow. That's awesome. So,
with the situation going on, we've got a great opportunity for everybody else in the country to pay attention, to learn, and for us to see not only just how it pans out, but what other people can do. I mean, Kingpin says it all the time, don't let your state turn into Maryland. And I can tell you that the voters in Michigan last time around were complacent. And right now we're not facing anything, but it's a potential because of the complacency that we exercised last time around. So I'm hoping that more and more people around the country take note, and they don't go, oh, well, we'll just do a Hail Mary pass at the end and just set up sanctuary cities and counties, and no, you need to get active, you need to get involved, you need to pay attention, and you need to get out there. And if you're going to have the attitude that I don't vote because my vote don't count, you're part of the problem.
well, do you guys think that all this going on in Virginia will and the awakening of the electorate in Virginia, do you think that this might transition into awakening the sleeping giant nationally?
I think it might have. I'm kind of, I guess, blinded to the rest of the nation because I live in Virginia and I'm the director for Virginia for GOA. But I think the sleeping giant has awoken. My email address is john.crump@gunowners.org. I give that out everywhere. Anybody needs help in Virginia, email me. But I'm getting flooded with emails from other states and people saying, hey, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I talked to Philip Van Cleve of VCDL. He's president of VCDL. And he has 13,000 emails sitting in his box right now.
I bet.
And it's just crazy how many people I get hit up on Facebook everywhere. Just people like, what can I do to help Virginia? What can I help to do Virginia? And it's like, what you can do that would really help is be active in your state. Don't let what happened to us happen to you.
Yep. I think that's exactly what you're saying, Squib, is get up on your feet, do something to make sure that you don't have to do the Second Amendment sanctuary thing. And I agree 100%. Speaking of Mr. Van Cleve, those of you who are longtime watchers, longtime listeners of the show know my response to the Sacha Baron Cohen incident. And I wrote a letter to one of which was to Mr. Van Cleve, calling for the gentleman involved to step down. I would like to publicly state that I was wrong. Apparently, he is still able to function effectively as a leader in the gun rights movement, and I'm very glad to have been wrong. So I just want to publicly put that out there.
He'll be on my show tonight at 10 o'clock at John Crump 2 on YouTube.
Cool.
Oh, that Sacha Baron Cohen thing. He contacted a guy for Ambulance. He contacted me, and I looked at the website, and the website looked kind of off. So I went to GoDaddy, did the Who Is, and figured it was just registered. And then I did some backtracking, talking, and everything, and I figured it was Sacha Baron Cohen, and I emailed everyone I knew about it, but apparently a few people missed my email.
Yeah.
You talking about the old guy who fell for Borat?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Head, shoulders, not the toes, not the toes.
I mean,
apparently he's continued to do good work, and that whole thing blew over. So perhaps I was a bit premature in calling for him to step down on those grounds.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to blow over, but it did.
Yeah, I didn't think it was either.
It just shows how many people don't pay attention.
Yeah. I just thought that anytime that he made any statements at all regarding our gun rights, someone would go, Borat. And that'd be it. Argument over. But apparently not. Apparently even the media has forgotten.
Wait. So you're saying that you're retracting your statement because nobody seems to mind that this happened, or
because he has been able to function effectively in the leadership role of VCDL despite the Borat kerfluffle.
Very effective, by the way. Not a little bit. Very.
Yeah. So if he's still able to function in that capacity, because that was my concern is how, okay, this happened. How the hell are you going to be able to function like this? And, well, apparently I was wrong. Absolutely can. Absolutely does. So, good. I've never actually been happy to be wrong before, but I am on this. Because VCDL is right involved in fighting this fight in Virginia. I mean, they're right there on the front lines, and Mr. Van Cleve's right there on the front lines of that. So I have to publicly retract my statement. That's how I see it anyway. I can't do anything else, because when you're wrong, you're wrong. And I was wrong. Out in the chat, let's see, say hi to a couple of people who've shown up. D-Temp's out there that I see. Clint Torres is out there. Guy that comments. Gun Lover Grandpa, how you doing, Buck? Roll call. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, they really hammered you guys in Indiana. That's terrible. Clint, what Clint Torres had something out there that I wanted to say. That I wanted to doggone it.
I don't think
says you expect this kind of thing from California, Massachusetts, or New York City. The fact that this is happening in Virginia should show everyone how dangerous Democrats in power are. I think that's absolutely right.
Can I recommend a movie?
Sure.
There's a movie called Rocky Mountain Heist. I've been plugging this movie everywhere. I didn't see it until about a month ago. It was made back in like 2015, and it was about what was going on in Chicago with Bloomberg, and not Chicago, Colorado with Bloomberg and everything. And it went step by step of what they were doing. And the scary thing is, they said the next state that they're going to try it in is Virginia, because they're going to keep on moving, and then Texas after Virginia. And it's the players that they said it was going to be, and it's the way they said it was going to be. So everybody needs to watch a movie because it's coming to your state eventually.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain Heist. It's on Vimeo for free.
Yep. We all have to be cognizant of this.
Could we go back to the dude that got punked by Borat for just a second?
Okay.
I don't know that you need to apologize. I don't think that you were wrong. I mean, that guy was made 100% fool of himself. So
sure,
for
but
you to feel
I said, my concern is that he wouldn't be able to function effectively in a leadership position in the gun rights movement, and he has. Right.
But I don't think that you were wrong for thinking that at the time, though.
No.
And I think that it's panned out in his favor and in our favor as well. I don't really think that you should feel bad for that. I think that you were very, very justified in criticizing it.
Sure.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either, Carl. I had the same thoughts you did.
That I was just, that's just my way of, sticking up for you, budget.
Well, then possibly I need to modify it to, okay, at the time I was still right, but it turns out that he could still function, and I'm glad that I was wrong about that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just the way you're, I don't even want to say wording it. It's not as broad of a. Boy, I don't even know how to say this properly.
The guy messed up. It was a wake-up call, and now he's doing better.
That's maybe the nicest way to say it, but I won't be that nice.
When would you ever be that nice, Squib?
Dude, I haven't even seen the whole Borat movie, and yeah, whatever.
Speaking of the whole Borat kerfluffle, and this might be something. Well, you probably actually can't say anything about this, John. Midnight Range TM says that Borat stuff did seem to put Larry Pratt on the back burner. It seems Eric has taken over as the face of GOA. Thoughts? Yeah.
Larry's retired now.
Larry retired. Okay.
Yeah, so Eric is now running the show as executive VP. So Larry has retired. He's not involved in the day-to-day operations of GOA. I still see him every once in a while, but he's still not. He's not really involved in the operation of GOA. But Larry is a freaking great guy.
Oh, I'm sure he is. I have no doubt about that. But he was the second guy that I called for needing to step down because of the Borat incident, the Sacha Baron Cohen thing. Because yeah, that just didn't look good. And I'm glad he retired. Because that completely takes that avenue of attack away from the antis. Looks like we had someone else join us. Who's that?
Does.
Hello? Did we have someone else join us?
They might
Sounded
not.
like it
It's
to
a
me.
mom's demand action person.
They might not be all the way in yet, or they might not know that they're muted. Or no, they're not muted.
Let's see. Says fellow gun tuber. Who's fellow gun tuber here? Hello?
Is that Patriot in the Dark?
I think it's mom's demand action.
No, it's Ryan from ZRS Outdoors. How you doing, sir? I can't hear you if you're out there trying to talk, brother.
Log out and log back in and do an audio test.
Yeah, you're going to have to log out and log back in, Ryan. Yeah, he'll log back in. Then we ought to be able to get him. That's cool. But yeah, Larry was the other one that I called for, and I'm glad to see that that's not an issue at this point. Not that I discount anything that either of those two guys did prior to the Borat thing, because they've done a lot for us for the cause. But yeah, I think it was just time. But apparently, I was wrong about the ability to function with Mr. Van Cleve. So good. I'm glad he can still carry that fight. Because that's an important one.
It's a very important one. VCDL is highly effective as an organization, mobilizing people. They're probably one of the best data organizations I have seen with that.
Yeah, they are absolutely on the ball there. ZRS Outdoor says, forgot him on my new computer, no cam. It wasn't the cam that was the problem. It was the fact that we couldn't hear anything you said. So I don't know if the mic... Oh, it says, don't think my mic works yet. Yeah, that was it. It was the microphone issues. Well, thanks for trying to stop in anyway. I appreciate it, man. And on that note, do you guys have anything else that you want to add to this? Squib, do you have any final thoughts on this topic?
No.
Kingpin?
Once again, I'm going to go with the optimistic and say, just kind of like my thoughts on the NRA. Virginia got caught sleeping behind the wheel, and now they've got to pay for it. But I think that they can rise up and get the boat straight again, and say all kinds of these different, proverbs or whatever. But I think that they're going to fix it from the inside, and in a year or so, things are going to be bright as rain in Virginia again.
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, Rick's Life coming up next. So check out Rick's Life as I see it coming up next.
All right. Squib, is there anything you want to plug? I didn't give you a chance to make your plugs.
No.
All righty. Stealth Hunter, anything you'd like to add to this conversation here before we leave?
Nah, appreciate the link. I have nothing to plug.
And John, is there anything you'd like to add? Any plugs you'd like to make?
Of course I want to make plugs. I'm king of plugs, man. Yeah, I want to make sure everyone out there in Virginia contacts your legislator, whether they are Democrat or Republican, and let them know that you are opposed to all this gun junk that they're trying to pass, this anti-freedom bills, as I call it. Make sure that you visit vcdl.org, gunowners.org, and tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I have Philip Van Cleve himself on. If you want to ask a question, you go ahead and jump in, and that's at John Crump 2 on YouTube.
Go ahead and check that out, everybody. As always, I'm humbled and amazed that any of you have come by here to pay any attention whatsoever to anything that I have to say. So, it's my deepest, most heartfelt thanks come to all of you for that. Especially those of you who've been here from the start to the finish, and even before at the notification mess up on YouTube's part. As always, I'd like to leave you with the admonition that in these dark and dangerous times, it is more important than ever for us to let our Congress critters and elected representatives know what we think. Send a snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, semaphore, heliograph, carrier pigeons, bicycle messengers, runners, tom-toms, smoke signals, anything you have to do to let them know what you think. And never, ever, ever give up the fight. See you guys on the next one.